Warning, the Stone Age Gamer includes a lot of bad language. Cover your mother ears.
Good evening and welcome to episode 136 of the Stone Age Gamer podcast for the week of January 27th, 2017. I am Kris Randazzo, and joining me as always is Wagglefest Dan Ryan.
I really, I looked at that earlier today. I don't even know how to respond to that. Not sure if I'm offended, turned on slightly.
In this situation, it should be turned on because I was really referring to WarioWare Smooth Moves, which is amazing.
All right, there you go. Then slightly aroused.
There you go. This evening, we're starting a new monthly segment called 10, 20, 30, which I'll tell you all about in a minute. Before we go any further, here's your weekly reminder that you can email us at mail@geekade.com. Let us know what you think about our show, what topics you would like us to discuss in the future, or just say hello, because we always want to hear from you, our congressman. So back to business.
Inside jokes.
Dan, how are you?
Oh, Kris. I mean, I'm things.
How are any of us, really?
I mean, right? On the one hand, just, oh boy. But on the other hand, I'm currently drinking an American Pale Ale called Low Visibility from a local New Jersey brewery, Magnify Brewing, and it's really good. I'm doing research for the upcoming New Jersey-centric year of Bits and Brews. So, shout out to Magnify Brewing. It's good
Big
stuff.
fans of the show.
Yeah, low visibility. Good stuff.
All right.
But on the other hand, man, and on top of that, Mary Tyler Moore died today, and that sucks. Tiff and I just discovered that the Dick Van Dyke Show was on Netflix. So, we watched a couple episodes the other night, and I turned to her and said, "Is Mary Tyler Moore still alive?" And she said, "Why, yes. Yes, she is." And now she's not. That was on Monday.
That's messed up, man.
I've asked her a couple other questions today. We'll see if my powers ring true.
What are you, Rob Schneider from Surf Ninjas?
Jesus Christ. That's a fucking reference.
What if the house blew up?
God. Now I have to go watch Surf Ninjas.
God, I love that movie.
Son of a bitch. You shouldn't, but...
I know. There's no logical reason to, but it's fantastic.
To be fair, I have a Rob Schneider guilty pleasure as well. Fucking Deuce Bigelow cracks me up. That movie's hysterical. I know it's no good, but it's funny.
As we all know, money can't buy knives. Come on, man. That whole speech is amazing.
So the 10, 20, 30 is a new concept we came up with to get us away from talking about Rob Schneider movies.
That is its express
2 hours
purpose.
about the animal. It's going to be longer than the movie itself.
And it's really just going to be a whole lot of us shuddering.
Eventually, Evan's going to pop in off of his silent stream and be like, making copies. And we'll be like, oh, yeah, that was funny once. And then your aunt ruined it at Thanksgiving that year. Just pass the turkey. And you're like, shut the fuck up. Jesus Christ. I get it. Fuck. God, we all watch SNL. Enough.
So... Back to we laugh because if we weren't laughing, we'd be crying. So we're starting this whole thing called 10, 20, 30. We're going to do it once a month, and we're going to do it last week of every month, and we're going to look at what was going on, what were we playing 10, 20, and 30 years ago. And so, of course, we decided to start it in January, which is pretty much the worst conceivable month to do this in because not a lot happens in the video game world in Januaries.
No, and that's not just a recent thing. Upon doing research this year, in 2007, in 1997, and in 1987, there was fuck all going on.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm going to say this is by no means complete. I didn't list every game that came out at this time. I just listed every game that I thought was either important, interesting, or that we played. Granted, I don't know what Dan played, so I pretty much just did it for myself. I have
it's pretty
feeling
similar to this list.
Yeah,
would
I have a
imagine.
feeling I didn't leave off anything super crazy important, but it's also kind of difficult to figure out exactly what games came out in specific months in 97 and 87 because there is no big centralized list of here's every game that came out that year in chronological order.
Yeah, 97's a little better, but like going back to the 80s, like it's hard to pinpoint like what day Nintendo games or Atari or ColecoVision like that.
Yeah.
That information just really doesn't exist. It does for like the Japanese releases. Like I'm pretty sure the Japanese Famicom release calendar is pretty up to date and pretty accurate. But over here, it was just like, oh, you'll get this game in 2 years. Like, what the fuck ever? Just have it here.
Yeah, there's
a
lot
new
of
Legend of Zelda game. No shit.
There was a lot of stuff. I wound up going through. I was looking for like centralized lists at first, and then lists of like all the games that came out in a year and that kind of stuff. And then what I wound up doing was finding Wikipedia has these great lists, but they're all separated by system. So I thought of every system that was out at those times, and then looked at what games, the complete comprehensive lists for them, and then searching through them, and then like ones that only had like 1987 on them, I'd try to cross-reference with Moby games because a lot of times they have months, maybe not specific dates, but a lot of times they have months attached to them where Wikipedia doesn't. And this is by no means.
You did so much more research than I did. I looked at your list.
I already did the whole year,
amount of
actually.
research.
I did the whole year because it was easier. They were all right there. I didn't want to keep going back every month, so I got the whole year's notes all prepped. So
Good.
So we're good for next month.
Well, we've at least got 12 shows ready to go.
That's right. So let's start with 10 years ago, in 2007. And these are in no actual particular order. Like, I didn't give specific dates. We're just going to talk about games that came out in January of 2007. And what's it doing in January? It's cold, it's snowy, and we got Lost Planet for Xbox 360.
That's right, we did. A cold and snowy game.
Yes,
it was
indeed.
A fun
did
game.
you? Yeah, I didn't really play much of this.
I didn't finish it. I think it was something. Oh, I might be pulling shit out of my ass here, but like, was GameFly around then? It was, right?
Oh yeah, it must have been. Yes. There's no way GameFly wasn't around at that point. Yeah, they were definitely around.
I didn't own this game, but I played this game, and what I played of it I liked, but I felt very similarly as I feel to the Far Cry games of like, oh, this is fun. Well, I don't need to play any more of this. You know, like play it for like a day or two, and I'm like, all right, that was cool. I don't care anymore.
I was super happy that Capcom was just dropping a new IP. Like, it wasn't specifically what I wanted out of life, but I was like, hey, look, a brand new Capcom IP, and it looks pretty cool. And you know what it did eventually get us? Was that giant robot character in Tatsunoko vs. Capcom.
That is true. That
Which
is
is
true.
so
So
awesome.
if it did nothing else, it at least brought that.
It contributed to the absolute madness that is TVC.
And it got a sequel, too, right?
It did,
Lost
yeah.
Planet 2?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember when that came out, but
I think it's fairly recent.
where did this go? Like,
I
where
don't-
did Lost Planet go? It just seems to kind of stopped.
Yeah, like it was a thing, and people were kind of excited about it, and then I'm pretty sure there was a sequel. I mean, oof,
Oh, it was a Keiji Inafune joint. I didn't know that.
we could look it up.
Lost Planet.
I mean,
Lost Planet 3. Did that happen?
I don't think so.
Lost Planet 3 released in 2013. Wow.
Get the fuck out
I
of
don't
town.
even remember that happening.
No, I
I'm
don't
looking at the
either.
cover. I have no recollection of this. Came out on Windows, PS3, and 360. Holy crap on a pita. Yeah, no recollection of this. Wow, good job, guys. But still, 2013, and we haven't heard from... It's 2017, and we haven't heard anything from this series. I wonder why.
No, I mean it. Well, if you and I have never heard of the third one, I mean, you and I are not the definitive end-all be-all of video game knowledge, but if we didn't even know a third one came out, that's probably a good indication of why we haven't heard anything about it since.
Let's see. Well, the Lost Planet 3 sold below expectations. Yeah, all right. Well, that's a shame, but hopefully it comes back. I mean, it's Capcom. They love making sequels to things.
They certainly do. Except for
next-
Chaos Legion, which I
yeah.
actually wanted a sequel for.
Yeah,
Bastards.
there are certain things they don't like making sequels to.
Right.
Like Mega Man. Oh.
Oh, sick burn.
All right. This next one is my favorite one. This is my favorite game on this list. At least this year. WarioWare Smooth Moves, January 2007 for the
Yeah.
Wii.
Yeah.
Holy crap! I love WarioWare. Those games are so ridiculous, and Smooth Moves was great. It was one of those games that was like, Waggle is really dumb. Like, in hindsight, there's no getting around it. Waggle is dumb.
No, there's not. So let's
But-
highlight how stupid it is.
Exactly. Like, they just embraced the stupid, and they made you look stupid in the process. Like, you didn't have to do those poses, but half the fun was like when they said to do the mohawk, you put the friggin' thing on your head and and crouch down, and the wrestler on screen's legs get all jacked.
The WarioWare games just did really interesting and fun things, and they really the WarioWare games are probably the only game of that genre that I enjoy. Like the what was the Sega one that came out for the DS?
Feel the magic.
Didn't love that one.
That was weird.
Like party games is not really something I'm into. Like I fucking hate Mario Party and whatnot, but like you get a bunch of people together playing WarioWare, and that's just a good time.
It is. I mean,
That's
I
a lot
really
of
liked
fun.
the single player stuff too, but I mean, WarioWare Smooth Moves I think was probably the best party one because it had those kind of wacky like versus modes in it
Yeah,
that
it
were
was
almost like
just
completely
weird.
chance ridden. It was so bizarre. I really appreciated was how WarioWare games were always this they were real proof of concept for the systems,
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
this showed the versatility of the Wii remote in ways that I remember being completely blown away because there was one micro game that came up where you had to be wearing the wrist strap, and it was and it just said, I think the command was bungee, and you just had to drop the Wii remote and let it dangle from your wrist. Like, that's genius. Absolute genius.
There was such a level of joy in those games, like
Yeah.
just this madcap joy that is just we're going to be as Japanese as possible when we make this game. Like this is the most fucking Japanese game you can play.
I also think it's really telling that one of these did not come out for Wii U.
Yeah.
Like, that is just a complete example of how they really didn't know what to do with
No.
that past Nintendo Land, which was Nintendo
was
Land
fun.
had these great uses. Like,
Yeah.
those games would not have been as fun if they weren't on the gamepad.
No,
Like,
Catch the Asshole is a blast.
exactly. But past that, it was like, wow, this is really cool. And then there was nothing really past that was like, wow, I'm so glad I have this second screen. I mean, that's not entirely true. Like, the thing in Zombie U I thought was really great.
Ah,
That was
sure,
really clever
sure.
clever use of the gamepad. But and what was it? The asynchronous gameplay in Rayman was
Right.
awesome on the Wii U with the touch screen stuff. That was great, but it wasn't.
But it
really
wasn't
enough to-
WarioWare.
It wasn't WarioWare. It wasn't the levels of creativity and insanity that is WarioWare. And that Game & Wario thing was cute and all, but it wasn't, a big thing. But WarioWare Smooth Moves, greatest use of pink on a game box ever. Very specific award,
If nothing else.
if nothing else. Okay, this is one that I haven't played, and I'm damn ashamed of it. Ace Attorney, Justice for All. I think this is the third one.
See,
In the
I
Ace
can
Attorney
top
series?
you in that I haven't played any of these.
Really?
I don't have a good reason why. I've seen video like playthroughs of it, and I'm like, oh, fucking Ace Attorney, that game's awesome. That looks really fun, and something that I would totally be into. And I really wanted to play the Ace Attorney and Professor Layton crossover because I have played the Professor Layton games, but I've never played an Ace Attorney game, and I feel like it would be. That's
They're on
in my-
everything. You can get
It's
on
in
your
my
damn phone.
wheelhouse too, man. It's like that is my style of game right now. And
Those games are on point. They hold up. I mean,
I'm sure
start
they
from the
do.
beginning. Go nuts. They're all there.
I just watched
I played through the
a
first
video
one.
of an unreleased Ace Attorney in the United States that
Ace
was
Attorney
like Ace
Investigations
Attorney
2.
and Sherlock Holmes. That's fucking
Oh
cool.
yeah, that one. The great. Was it the Great Ace Detective or something like that?
Something
I don't
like
know.
that. I don't know. Tiff and I had finished watching this latest season of Sherlock, and we're like, oh, let's look at some other Sherlock. There was an Ace Attorney Sherlock game? Son of a bitch. But
It's no Detective Pikachu, but it'll do.
well, Few things are, my friend. Few things are.
I've come up with one thing. If they get one actor to do it that's not Danny DeVito, for the Detective Pikachu movie, I want it to be Benedict Cumberbatch.
I kind of want it to be Sam Watterson. I feel like he would do a good job.
He's got to play him off like his character on a Newsroom, too.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Just a drunk guy with a bow tie, except he's a Pikachu and nobody can understand what he's saying.
Attorney.
So yeah, Ace Attorney, Justice for All. Like I said, I think this is the third one. I got to look it up. I played through the first Ace Attorney game, and I absolutely loved it. And then I kept buying the sequels, and I never
just
played
not playing them
because I'm an ass.
You are. That's true.
It is true. I am an ass. Let's see. Main series. No, Justice for All was the second one. Third one was Trials and Tribulations, then Apollo Justice, then Dual Destinies, and Spirit of Justice. Those are the ones that I don't have. And I also don't have the spin-offs. Like, I don't have Leighton versus Wright. I don't have the Ace Attorney Investigations, and then the other ones that didn't come out here in America. But I have all the mainline ones, with the exception of the last two, which I think were only released on eShop.
Man, I don't know. I should know because I should have played them.
Yeah, they're awesome. They're just good games, and I love the first one. I love the music. I love the characters. I love everything about it. They're so ridiculous. They do not even pretend to take place in reality. It's genius.
Yeah, it's one of these days. One of these days I will get to it. I mean, I say that about a lot of things, but it's in the queue. But
right,
mean, as far as a company having a pretty solid month, that's a pretty solid month for Nintendo.
Yeah.
Not something I feel like we're going to be able to say very often, but in the near future anyway.
I don't know. I mean, there is one piece of news that we're going to talk about in the second half of the show that made me extraordinarily happy about the launch day. We'll get to that soon.
Okay.
So the next couple of games I don't have a ton to say about, other than I know that they were relatively important. Obviously, World of Warcraft, Burning Crusade.
That's a thing that happened.
I remember working in game stores, and every single time there was an expansion for WoW, it was such a big deal. And I never caught on to WoW. I never played it.
No,
it's not my thing, but
no.
I do.
It might be my thing, but I don't want to find out.
That's exactly right. It might be my thing, and I'm terrified of it being my thing.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, no, thank you. I don't have the time to dedicate to that. I don't even know how I'm getting through. I complain a lot about the launch window for Switch. I'm never finishing Breath of the Wild.
No, there's still, like, I still haven't finished Twilight Princess, so, like, I don't,
Oh, the ending of Twilight Princess is really good. Like, the last
sure
chunk of it's really solid.
I'm sure
And
it
Skyward
is.
Sword is Skyward Sword, for all of its motion control bull jargon, is actually really good. I really like Skyward Sword a lot. It was one of those. That's one of those games I think back on a lot. Is like, I would really like an opportunity to replay that, and I seriously hope they remaster that sucker in HD, and I
Right.
seriously hope they do it without, like, find a way to remap it without the motion controls, because that would be a really cool game to give a proper shot to again, because I loved playing through that game. But yeah, World of Warcraft, Burning Crusade, hooray. Okay, so the next game on the list, this is another one I played briefly. I think that this game suffered from Phoenix Wright, because there were a lot of these kinds of things coming out on the DS, which I thought was really interesting. It was this is Hotel Dusk, and this is
I love this.
digital novel type thing. You held the DS sideways. It was kind of like a mystery novel.
Yeah, it was
Loved the
good.
art style, like the
Really good.
really, really cool stuff. I played very little of it. It was like this one and Trace Memory.
Yeah.
And I didn't play a lot of
yeah.
those, but I loved that they were coming out. It was like, these aren't like, these are kind of up my alley. I'm not as good at puzzle solving as I should be for these kinds of adventures.
Right.
But I loved so much that they were bringing those out. And
Yeah, it
there
was new. It was different. I mean, it was new for us. Like, Japan had been getting visual novels for forever at that point, But for us to finally be getting these, and Hotel Dusk is really good.
It is.
The story's really good. The art direction is really cool.
They just made a kind of new pseudo sequel to it that I heard is really disappointing. which makes me sad. It's on the 3DS eShop. It's not Hotel Dusk, but it is. It's the same people who made this.
Right.
And the character looks almost exactly the same, but it's not him.
Well, and didn't Hotel Dusk eventually get released for like iPhones and Androids and shit too? I think there's a mobile version. It might have been Trace Memory that there was a.
Well, I know there was a
mobile
sequel to
for.
Trace Memory we didn't get. DUSK. Hotel Dusk. I thought that was a. I know Nintendo published it. It's from Seeing. Legacy.
Maybe I'm thinking of something completely
Kyle Hyde
different.
he was a trophy in Smash Brothers. Chase. This is the new one, Chase, and that is on 3DS. Hotel Dusk. Yeah, it was only on DS. Yeah, we must be thinking of something else. I feel like I know what you're talking about too, but yeah, the new thing is Chase.
I'm
Cold
thinking
Case
of Ghost Trick. Sorry.
There you go, Ghost
Yeah.
Trick.
Okay.
That was a cool ass game too.
That was a very good game. But yeah, Hotel Dusk is very cool. It's just got this very. The art is so interesting. Like it's a really really good example of like what could be done with this type of like point and click. You know, because it's a very old school style game. Like America was not unfamiliar with point and click style games, you know, like Myst and fucking
Monkey Island
and Day of the Tentacle and Grim Fandango and all of those. But for some reason, the visual novel thing never really caught on.
Yeah.
And it still hasn't.
Nah, but it's gotten the Telltale games have gotten some pretty widespread success. It's not.
Yeah.
It's never
Those
going
are
to be totally
a bit more
mainstream.
interactive.
Yeah, they are.
You know,
they're kind of an evolution of that.
You
type.
still have to dodge the zombie as he's trying to eat you, but you know.
All right, so Rogue Galaxy for PS2.
That was a level 5 game.
Was it? I know
Was
it was an RPG. I can picture the box because I can picture it sitting on my shelf in friggin' Game Crazy. Rogue Galaxy, yep, with the blue. It was level 5, yeah.
Yeah.
And it was a Sony
They don't
published.
make bad games.
No, they don't. It looked good. I never got around to playing it because I was like 14 RPGs deep at that time. So
Right,
this is never happening.
I have this game. I've played through some of it, and again at the same time, you know, like it was back when I was like, I'm going to buy all the RPGs because I'm awesome that way, and I'm going to buy old RPGs, and you know, I'm never going to play through a Lundra, but I bought it, you know, like son of a bitch. I've got Vagrant Story I still haven't finished, but here I'm going to get this one too. And like I really liked it. The art was really good.
That is the brownest game ever.
What, Vagrant Story?
Vagrant Story is the brownest game in the history of brown games.
It is. But this was really cool, and like I was initially attracted to this game because I got a very Skies of Arcadia feel from it.
Yes, it definitely has that kind of look.
That kind of like swashbuckling pirate adventure thing, but I don't know, I dug it. Like the cell shaded graphics were cool. You know, these were like cell shaded graphics done right. I felt back then it was a really good game, you know, and I'd love to say that I would get around to finishing it, but that's never going to happen.
It's never going to happen.
Never going to
Okay.
happen. It had a weird like system thing in it. Like the power up system was good, but it was I don't know, it was weird. I don't remember. Maybe I should have done more research.
Well, you know, that's the point. We're just giving our recollections of them. So let's spend as little time as possible on this. I just had to mention it. Sonic the Hedgehog finally came out for PlayStation 3. We are referring to Sonic 06.
Yeah, I hate the Sonic games and have since the Genesis. So, needless to say, I never played this one.
I tried this one. I had to try it.
What do we got?
Well, all right, let's see. I love the Sonic games. I love the two-dimensional Sonic games.
I know that you do.
I don't really care for any of the 3D Sonic games. I just don't think it translates very well to 3D. But this was a special kind of bad. This was like, no, we're gonna make this good again. We're gonna really make Sonic proper. Like they called it Sonic the Hedgehog. Like it was like a cold reboot or something like that.
Right.
And obviously there's the story, which is absolutely stupid. You've got like Silver the Hedgehog which is what the shit, man. Stop coming up with spiky hedgehogs, please. And the whole bit where he kisses a human princess and it's all like,
oh, that's in this one?
That's this game, yeah.
Okay.
That is this game. And quick sidestep. If you read the blog on Stone Age Gamer that I write, I talked about.
No, I'm just kidding.
I talked about how I just started replaying Super Mario Sunshine with my son, and I forgot just how creepy the whole Bowser Jr. Mama Peach thing is. Do you know about that?
Mm-mm.
The story of Super Mario Sunshine's got voice acting and stuff in it. Like it's actually got a story. Yeah.
No shit.
And this is where Bowser Jr. is first introduced as a character other than like baby Bowser in Yoshi's Island, and when he finally surfaces as himself, he goes in this whole bit where he thinks Peach is his mom, and he's like, "Yeah, my daddy told me all about it." And I'm like, "He told you all of what now?" And it just starts, and Princess' reaction is not like, okay, kid, that's not even kind of possible. Her reaction is, I'm your mommy? And I'm like, nothing should make me think about what's happening between Bowser and the princess when Bowser has her kidnapped. Nothing.
No.
Especially not this, But other than that, Super Mario Sunshine's a great game. This game, on the other hand, is hot steaming garbage because it is so broken. I played the demo of it in my store at the time, and I'm just like, okay, all right, this looks pretty cool. I'm running off a cliff. All right, let me try this again. I'm off the ground again. Like, you're just constantly running off the sides of things because the game's like, go that way. So you jam on a direction, the camera flips out, and you run off a cliff. You die. Did anybody play test this, or did they just make it look pretty? Because it looks nice, but
does it? All right,
it does. It is a. That's one thing Sega's pretty good at, is making visually good-looking games, but the actual process of playing it is not enjoyable in the least.
All right, then.
So that's 2000s. That's January of 2007. Let's hop in the old Wayback Machine and go to 1997. January 1997, 20 years ago. I could only really come up with 2 games of consequence,
but
one of them I'm not even.
This first one.
You know what? Both of them. But both of them for me, I spent a ton of time on. And the second one, I'm not even positive came out in January of 97. I kind of have conflicting reports, but let's do the first one first. Soul Blade for PlayStation.
Fuck yes, I love this game.
I
love this franchise. Even with the stupid Star Wars characters that came later, I fucking love the Soul Calibur series, and I loved this first entry.
Oh my god, me too. My only gripe. All right, I have 2 gripes about the franchise as a whole, with the exception of the dumbass Star Wars thing. First off, I have no idea why this game is called Soul Blade.
Well, because it was originally called Soul Edge, and then they renamed it, bringing it over here because
No, they didn't rename it, bring it over here. The arcade game is called Soul Edge because I played the shit out of this in the arcade.
Yeah.
And then they made a PlayStation port, and they called it Soul Blade. Like, it's not like it wasn't pre-existing in America as Soul Edge. It was. It was Soul Edge in America.
Yeah,
I don't know why they did this.
Because blades are cooler?
Ugh. And they keep referring to the sword as the Soul Edge throughout the entire series. And I'm
They
like,
do.
And my other complaint is that Li Long was my favorite character in this game, and he didn't come back till freaking Soul Calibur 3, and even then he was only like a bullshit creative character.
Yeah, but fucking Li Long in this game was
Li Long was the best. And they replaced him with Maxi in Soul Calibur, and I was like, I don't want this stupid effing Elvis pirate. I want Li Long back, man. Li Long was awesome.
This game is so good.
It is absolutely sick. I need to tell you this quick story. As you know, I was a Nintendo apologist. It's just hardcore. And am. Way more than that at this point in my life. And friends of mine came over, and they were... it was still relatively early in the Nintendo 64 PlayStation era, and friends of mine came over and they had rented Mace the Dark Age for Nintendo 64 under the impression that Nintendo 64 was the most powerful machine on the market because Super Mario 64 was a goddamn phenomenon.
Right, and 64-bit versus 32-bit.
Exactly.
That's 32 more bits sir.
And
if
I
my
remember
math is correct.
your math is correct. They came over with Mace the Dark Age, or was it Dark Rift? I can't remember. It was one
It's
of
Dark
the,
Age. Mace the Dark Age.
Well, there's two different fighting games. There was Mace the Dark Age, and then there was another fighting game called Dark Rift. And they were both steaming piles of shit.
Right. This one was a midway joint, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was...
I can't. I can picture both of them. I just can't remember which one they brought. But either way, they brought one of those 3D fighting games. Yeah, either way, it wasn't great. And they were playing it, and they're like, "Oh, this is a pretty fun game." And I'm looking at them like, "Look, guys, this pains me to do because I'm a Nintendo guy, and I love Nintendo. But check this shit out." And I turned on Soul Blade, and they were just watching the intro with that music and everything. They were like, "What the? Why the heck? Wait a minute. Why aren't we playing this the whole time?" Like, I don't know.
Why don't we all have PlayStations?
Exactly, because that era was so goddamn ugly, and for some reason, this is one of those games that I can go back to. Like, yeah,
it still kind of holds up. Like, it's blocky as shit, but it has
like that weird grass effect. Like, remember that stage with the grass that was waving around, and when it pans in from the top, you see this just the squares of the 2D textures. But when it turns to the side, there's still grass flapping around. Like, I don't know, man. This game is charming for that era, which is extraordinarily rare. But
well,
it
shares that with the Virtua Fighter games. Those games are fucking ugly as shit. Like the first couple of Virtua Fighter games are dog shit ugly, but there's a little bit of a charm to them.
Because they were intentionally like that, you know,
right,
like the whole thing.
Yeah.
They was supposed to look blocky. They weren't aiming for realism with those, and because they embraced that, they look cool, kind of like the original Star Fox. Like, I love the original
like it was
Star
on
Fox
purpose. Like, you weren't trying to hide what you could do with polygons. You were intentionally like, well, this is what it fucking looks like. So
I love the Dire Straits "Money for Nothing" music video.
Right?
All right,
Who doesn't?
Who doesn't?
But yeah, there were this game and Bushido Blade, which I don't know when that released.
It's on the list. I don't remember where it is,
but somewhere around this time period, really took like weapons-based fighting games and made them like really accessible and really fun, and you sort of like could go with it now as opposed to like, well, I hit you with a sword, why aren't you dead? Like, it just kind of...
Well, yeah, Bushido Blade was definitely that, because Bushido Blade was all like the one-hit kills and shit.
Yeah,
and,
well, that
Soul Calibur was all
like
was
fucking dope as shit.
You could run people through with every kind of sword in Soul Calibur, and it didn't matter. It was everything Tekken was, except I like the Soul
It's Tekken
series.
but weapons.
Weapons. And I like this series way better than Tekken. I mean,
I do too.
Real offense to Tekken, but
no, Tekken's great, and I'm like I am going to try and convince my wife to buy Tekken 7 because it's been a while since I've had a Tekken game, and you know we talked about this before. There's downloadable Bullet Club stuff in it. I got to have that. But
Bushido Blade was until September. It's going to be a while before we talk about that one.
But yeah, like this fucking game was so good, and like started my decades-long now, 20-year love affair with Mitsurugi, man. Like,
Mitsurugi's so great.
Has been my boy since then. But fucking Rock was so fun, like, and that's what was so cool about this was that the fighters were so different.
Yeah,
you know,
there was
like
very little in the way of like palette swappy type characters. Like,
and it somehow all worked. It somehow all worked together to have all of these fighters with these vastly different fighting styles and these incredibly different weapons, somehow all worked.
And Soul Calibur really opened it up to like the really 8-way movement system, but still,
I mean, well, and Soul Calibur brought Lizard Man, and you know, I mean, Lizard Man, and Lizard Man. This fucking like, but like going back to this game and like the story has been going, like they kept. Like, it's all fucking canon. Siegfried, before he's Nightmare and shit. Like, it's just so good. It's so good.
Siegfried with his giant sword.
I fucking love this game. Love this game. Sophatia is badass in this game.
Yeah.
And, like, this was the first time. I mean, think about what fighting games were in 1997. And then all of a sudden, this game comes out, and you're like, what the fuck is a Voldo? What even is this that I'm looking at? This weird, like... I have questions about BDSM shit now that I have to go research because, like, What is going
One
on,
of my
man?
biggest fears as game graphics, like every time they announced a new Soul Calibur on a new system, I was like, oh god, the graphics are going to get better. I'm going to see more of Voldo.
I'm gonna see
I don't
more.
want
I'm
more.
gonna see Voldo's junk. God damn it!
I remember in Soul Calibur on Dreamcast, I was like, you can see the veins in Voldo's ass. Oh god.
But like, there's still nothing like Voldo, man. Like, there is no.
There is his move set is so bizarre.
It's so
like I'm just gonna
interesting and
crab
cool.
walk and roll into a ball and then explode for some reason. What?
It's so great. I love Voldo, and I love that they made him like an Italian, like just creep. He's fucking great. He's
It's
everything.
spectacular.
He is what I imagine the Vatican is like after hours. It's just Voldo all the time.
Wall to wall Voldo.
Just the Pope takes off the hat and puts on the mask, and it's like, oh God, what is even happening? So fucking cool. I love Voldo, man. He's so.
Me too. He was one of my best characters.
He's
I was
just
so good with
neat.
him.
He's
He
neat.
is.
I fucking love it. I love this game. God damn it. I'm gonna go fucking play some Soul Edge now. This is a
Seriously,
good
me
game.
too. So you even refer to it as Soul Edge. Soul Blade is a dumb name. Stop it.
Yeah. Fucking
All right.
Jesus. All right.
Other one. Holy shit, was this a game I played a lot of? I believe, in my heart of hearts, only because I really want to talk about it, is that... So I found two different listings for this, one in December of 96 and one in January of 1997. So I'm going to root for the 1997 one
Yeah, let's
because
go
I
with
want
that.
to talk about it. Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo for Sega Saturn.
Fuck
and
yeah.
this specific version is the one I played. I never played it on PlayStation. My friend Mike had this game on Saturn, and we would go over to his house and play the ever-loving garbage out of this game. And I was so good at it when I was at my prime of playing this game all the time. I got to the point where nobody could beat me, and they would try for hours. They would take turns over and over again trying to beat me at this game. I love this game. It's so good.
It's great. It's great. And it had unlockable characters in a puzzle game. And they were cool.
And they made a difference. Like, there was
Yeah.
a strategy to picking the different characters because of their fall patterns. Like, each character had a different way that the garbage blocks would fall down on them, and they all kind of played to different styles. Like, Ken was my character in this. Like, his fall pattern worked so well for me. I friggin' love Puzzle Fighter. I can't overstate how many hours I spent on this damn game.
It's a wonderful game. I adore puzzle games. I really do. I mean, you know, I've talked pretty endlessly about how much I love Puzzle and Dragons currently and how into that game I am, but Puzzle and Dragons has like just replaced whatever the puzzle game was before that. You know what I mean? Like, and it started with Tetris, and what is able to be done with a puzzle game is so fascinating to me because there's so many different variations of it, and Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo is, I mean, first of all, it's just a ridiculous name. Like, I love...
Yeah, and it's a hilarious name. It's just poking so much fun at the ridiculousness of the Street Fighter series' naming conventions at the time.
It's wonderful, and it's just... And there were fucking Darkstalkers characters in it.
Yeah.
Really? This is amazing. I'm in. I'm all in.
Pure genius. Now, speaking of puzzle games, you and me are both real happy now because Puyo Tetris is finally coming out in America.
Yes.
And I will be getting it on Switch, as I assume you'll be getting it on PS4.
Yes.
I'm really excited to finally have a new puzzle game to play on my TV in my life, because Karen and I play Dr. Mario from time to time, and there really isn't a good version of Tetris right now. Like,
Right.
I don't like any of the current Tetrises. They're not bad. They're just, I don't like the way they look. Like, the presentation and everything is just kind of...
They're missing
Yeah.
a thing.
They are. They're
There's
very...
a thing that's missing.
Like, the last one they made for Wii was very me-heavy and
Yeah.
very, very sterile. There was nothing going on. I mean, new Tetris for Nintendo 64? Good Lord, how much time did I spend on the new Tetris for
Yeah.
N64?
Yeah.
And, I mean, Tetris DS was amazing. Favorite version of Tetris was Tetris DS. That was
Oh,
just
it's fabulous.
incredible.
It's a fabulous game.
Classic NES-themed Tetris. But, yeah, Puyo Puyo Tetris. Can't wait.
Yeah.
All right, back to 10, 20, 30. Sorry about that.
Well, I think that's
Okay.
what's really interesting about a topic like this is that it, you know, it branches off into those other things, and
It does. Like, this really reminds me of how much I miss there being, like, I can't remember the last time there's been a serious retail release of a damn puzzle game.
Well, because they're all mobile now.
Yeah.
You know, like because we're talking about a game that literally came out 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. If this game were to be released now, if Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo had never existed and we got Super Puzzle Fighter 4 Turbo, like if they came up with the idea that because there were no other Super Puzzle Fighter games, like this, it came out with number 2, you know? If that had been the thing, it would be a mobile game. Like, this would not be something that would be released on consoles. Like, mobile is where puzzle games are, you know? And something like Puzzle and Dragons has just millions and millions and millions of downloads. Like, a crazy amount of downloads. Like,
it even did really well on 3DS.
Yeah, and it's a little bit of a different version of the game, and it's a little bit more influenced by the anime on that version of it. But, like, there is a Pokemon Go style thing called Pad Radar in Japan, and that's super popular. But, like, I think we just got done the 11 million downloads event in North America. Like, it's been downloaded 11 million times. That's not counting the 44 or 50 fucking million in Japan. You know, like, it's the puzzle market is huge on mobile games.
Yeah.
You know, or on mobile platforms now. But something like this 20 years ago couldn't have existed we didn't have mobile platforms back then.
No.
So we
fortunately
got it for, you know, Saturn and PlayStation and whatnot.
It's such a one-on-one competitive kind of thing, you know, like you sit down on a couch and do split screen with something like this and play against one another. I miss that a lot. Like, this was particularly N64 era with New Tetris and Dr. Mario 64 with 4-player
really
versions of those two
couch
games.
Versus.
Exactly. Couch versus is great for puzzle games. I love that kind of stuff. And I'm really stoked for Puyo Puyo Tetris. I really am. It's one of my most anticipated Switch games. I don't know whether to get it physical or digital, though. Like, I really want to go digital because it's one of those games I want to be able to fire up at any time. But the physical one, even though it's $10 more, comes with a fancy keychains.
Well, I mean, a
I'm
fancy
such an
keychain.
ass.
You can put it on your lanyard. I mean, come on now. Oh, boy.
Okay,
Go
now
with
let's
the
move
digital.
on to 30 years ago.
Well,
I don't
but
have-
hold on. That's an important thing there. 20 years ago in January, fucking crickets for the most part. Like,
Pretty much,
I mean,
yeah.
2 games that we loved, but like, that's really
I
all
couldn't
you can
come
talk
up with
about.
much else that was really worth mentioning coming out in January of 97.
No,
I just
it
couldn't.
just wasn't. And we're not even sure about Puzzle Fighter. So
Yeah, not
we
even
may
sure
have
about it.
Right here from fucking jump, we may have cheated and fucked up the integrity of our own segment.
Well, either way, I was playing it in January
That
of
counts.
1997, so
By
there.
that stretch, by that rationale, we're going to talk about Portal 2 next week or next month in the 10, 20, 30 because I was playing it in February of last year or 10 years ago. I don't fucking know. I'm tired.
All right, let's jump 30 years ago. 30 years ago. You and me were gaming 30 years ago.
You and me were fucking 6 years old in 30 years ago. How sad is
1987.
that? I know.
It's bizarre
It
to
is.
think about. But let's see. 1987, games of consequence I came up with were Enduro Racer for Sega Master
It's a
System.
fucking dope game.
I haven't played this, but I figured you did because I know you were a Master System guy.
Fucking loved this game. Well, because there was an arcade version of it. And it had like a bike and shit. And then the home console version obviously did not have a bike, but it was a dirt bike racing game, and it was fucking cool. It was like if Excite Bike were really cool, it would have been
Excite Bike
Enduro
is
Racer.
really cool.
I know,
You
but like
bite your damn
Enduro
tongue.
Racer was even cooler.
Oh, I see. It's wow. It's like this isometric view thing. I'm looking at a YouTube video of it.
That's fucking dope.
Yeah, it's
I
pretty
loved-
cool.
I
Pretty cool.
loved Enduro Racer.
There's like some old drag racing cars like on the course.
It's a weird, like, it was a weird game, and like there was some weird, like, you know, you look at like system limitations at the time and whatnot. And you're like, why are the trees blue? I mean, like, that's cool, but like, why are the trees blue?
Why are the trees blue?
Because they didn't have a very big color palette is why the trees
Why
are blue.
can't Samus crawl? Why can't Metroid crawl?
Why can't Metroid crawl? God damn it!
I'm gonna miss you, Miiverse. I'm gonna miss you.
There was some interesting track designs, and like there was that fabulous box art of just like half of a bike.
Yeah.
Fucking Master System box art was so. That's a top 10 we should do. You and me.
Oh,
fucking
absolutely.
The best and worst Sega Master System box art,
or just the best worst.
there really is no in between. But yeah, this was
because like every now and then you got stuff like Rampage where they just did an actual cover and whatnot.
But then you also have Black Belt. That's just a fist with a fucking red splotch behind it.
I thought it was a foot.
Or it might be a foot. God damn. It was a great game. Fuck, can we talk about Black Belt? Did that come out this month? It was a fucking dope-ass game. Yeah, no, man, I loved Enduro Racer. And, like, I had a Nintendo as well, but I played this more than I played Excitebike. And I played a shit ton of Excitebike, too, but this was cool. I thought I was going to get a dirt bike and everything. I did not. I did not get a dirt bike.
That did not happen.
It was a fucking great game, man.
All right, speaking of the NES got itself Gauntlet.
Yes.
Or as my customers used to say in Funko Land, Gantlet.
Gantlet.
Got Gantlet Legends?
No, we do not. This
No,
is not the
please
South.
leave.
You say Gauntlet like a fucking Northeasterner, goddammit.
Yeah, Gauntlet, man. I love Gauntlet. I used to love playing this at the arcade or watching my cousins and my sister played in the arcade. They wouldn't really let me join in. But no, Gauntlet was cool as hell, and the NES version is neat because it was this one I think boy, I hope I get my history right on this one because this was one of those games that was a Tengen Tengen game. UNC, ET, NES, and I think it was like they released a couple of them that were licensed first, and then they wanted to
that's
like
it. Yeah.
screw with the deal and be like, heck with this whole only releasing this many games, and Nintendo was like, no, and then Tengen went and reverse engineered the lockout chip and
like,
just
"Fine,
started
fuck you."
releasing all their own shit, which was great. Yeah, man. I played a decent chunk of Gauntlet for NES. I actually think I played Gauntlet 2 more, but
they're so indistinguishable from each other.
they really are. They're so similar.
It's the same game, and like Gauntlet was a game that I never really quite understood what I was doing. Mm-hmm. You know, like I understood
just
the
keep
basic
moving on to the next
mechanics.
level, right? Like,
Yeah,
it's
like you just keep going.
Do I have to kill this guy or no? Well, there's the exit.
Doesn't
I'm just
matter.
going for it.
Yeah, I'm just
keep
gonna
going.
walk in there now. Like, so who was your character?
Wizard.
Wizard. I was Thief. I always played Thief.
I always loved Wizard. Wizard
Wizard was
needs
cool.
food badly.
Elf needs food. Wizard needs food. That's fucking great. Gauntlet.
Wizard shot the food.
Wizard's a fucking cock monster. God damn it. Yeah, like I loved playing this game in the arcade. I loved playing it at home. Was this like? Could you play this with the 4-tap?
No, this was
I
before
don't
the
think
4
so,
score.
right?
This
Yeah.
was only 2-player. Yeah.
It was only 2-player, but like it was a great co-op game. You know, like it was super fun. Like it's interesting to look back 30 years ago. You know, a game like Gauntlet was just all the rage, and it was revolutionary. You know, and it was really, I mean, no different than Call of Duty is now. You know, like it's fucking cooperative gaming. It was just a very rudimentary form of it. Like this is the best we could do there. Of like, dude, don't fucking shoot the food. What are you
Watch
doing?
where you're aiming.
God damn! Like, and those same conversations are had. You know, now just, I mean, obviously not. Don't shoot the food, but you know, taking care of your team and like these competitive strategies and whatnot. Like it was the same kind of deal. I was fucking great. I love Gauntlet, man.
Me
really,
too.
really do. I want to play Gauntlet now. A couple months ago, there was the PS Plus of like the latest Gauntlet, and I downloaded it, but haven't played it because nobody else wanted to play with me. I was like, oh, well, Gauntlet's no fun single player. This is just sad now. It's just like a lonely elf wandering catacombs.
Yeah, it's really not all that entertaining when you're playing by yourself.
No, it's really not. Really not. But I played the shit out of this game, man.
All right, this last bit we're going to talk about just kind of all-encompassing, and I figured we'd do it now because the month was kind of light, and I couldn't find specific month release dates for most of this stuff. The Atari 7800 Super System, Pro System, Atari 7800 Pro System came out in, let's see, when did it actually release here in America? Well, it was discontinued in 1992.
Really?
U.S. in May of 1986. Which is super awesome because according to this list that I'm looking at, the only game that came out in 1986 was Pole Position 2. I mean, it was backwards compatible with all 2600 games,
Oh,
but
well,
there
thank
was
God for
like
that.
a game in 86, and then a chunk came out in 87. I don't know how accurate that is. I hope it's not that accurate. But, I mean, then again, it wouldn't surprise me given the state that Atari was in at the time.
No.
So, like, we were just talking about Gauntlet and games like Enduro Racer and even the stuff that came out the year prior for NES. Like, games had really moved on past the very specific arcade stuff. And the Atari's arcade ports was pretty much all the 7800 had, and they had already been ported to other home systems in various formats over and over again.
Right.
Even by the time this happened. So I mean, here in 1987, what was released for the 7800 was Asteroids, Ball Blazer, Centipede, Choplifter, Desert Falcon, Dig Dug, Food Fight, Galaga, Hat Trick, Impossible Mission, Joust, Ms. Pac-Man, One-on-One Basketball,
Ooh.
Robotron 2084, Summer Games, and Winter Games.
Not gonna lie, I love Dig Dug.
I love Dig Dug. There's a lot of these games I love, and the 7800 is such an interesting console. Like, it looks almost as good as an NES, not exactly, but it's way closer to an NES than like a 52 or a 2600.
Right.
But the sound it's the same sound chip from the 2600. So you're looking at like Donkey Kong on this thing, for example. It's fascinating to see because on one hand it looks so much better than Donkey Kong on 2600, but it sounds exactly the same.
But it sounds so much worse.
It is this was such a weird system.
Not one that I ever owned.
I have one. It's I actually have I have it AV modded 7800, so I can play it on somewhat modern televisions. It's a cool system. I mean, any system that has a game called Ninja Golf on it is
Come
really
on now.
Have you ever played Ninja Golf before?
No, I have not.
It's exactly what it sounds like. You play around a golf as a ninja, and then between holes you fight dudes with a sword. It's fantastic.
That sounds exactly right.
Ninja Golf is awesome. So yeah, I just wanted to mention the 7800. There weren't any games on it, with the exception of Ninja Golf, obviously, that were real like important pieces of gaming history. There were a lot of interesting ports on it, but
No real system sellers other than
no,
Ninja
I mean,
Golf?
like, I love Atari. I'm a big Atari fan. I love the 2600.
Sure.
It was my first game system, and there's tons of games that I would talk about to death on there. There's ports on this that I've never really tried. Like, I'm really curious how Double Dragon, Kung Fu Master, how those ones hold up on the 7800. It's really interesting doing comparisons to see those games on one platform versus another. But yeah, the 7800. That system was it was one of Atari's many bad moves back then.
It was doomed from the get-go.
It was too little, too late. There was no way
Yeah.
this thing was going to compete with the NES. It
No.
wasn't even competing with the Master System, and that here in America was a real shame because,
Yeah.
like we've mentioned before, the Master System was popular elsewhere, but it
Oh
wasn't
yeah,
really big
it was
here.
the system everywhere else.
Yeah, and the 7800 was like, you can play all your 2600 games. Like, 2600 does that.
I could also do that on the thing I already have.
Yeah, and like,
So-
okay, do I want to buy? I have Dig Dug on 2600. Do I need to buy a new system so that I have a newer version of the same game?
Right, because like it wasn't an HD remake of Dig Dug.
Like, they looked considerably better, but
Oh,
there was
sure,
nothing really
but-
wrong with my copy of Dig Dug for 2600. I loved it.
But how
Miss
much better
Pac-Man
is
was pretty
Dig
good,
Dug
too.
going to look? I mean, I don't need Dig Dug in HD. You know, just it's not a thing that's necessary in life.
All right, we're going to call it here. This was our first attempt at 10, 20, 30. I think the next time we do it, we're probably going to need the whole episode for it because all the months after this have considerably more releases in them. I don't know what we're going to do when come November. The episodes are going to be like 3 hours long.
Two-parters.
7-parters. But yeah, this was fun. I enjoyed this. If you liked it, let us know.
I have good ideas, Chris.
You do have good ideas. And we're pretty much going to keep doing this anyways.
Yeah, right? I mean...
All right, we're going to take ourselves a quick break. When we come back, we're going to cover a few things that have been going on in the news. You're listening to the Stone Age Gamer podcast from Geekade.com, so stick around. And now here's a look at some of the other original content available right now at Geekade.com.
First up, Into the Vault is back with another peek into Kris's collection. This time, we get a look at his big, long, hard Master Sword replica. He certainly knows how to handle it, just ask Karen. If you're breathing heavily in anticipation of Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, Kris's sword just might be able to satisfy you, for now. Click over to the Geekade YouTube page to watch Into the Vault, Episode 24, Master Sword Replica.
Next, speaking of heavy breathing, hormones are seriously rampaging in the latest installment of Karen's Back to Hogwarts series. Plus, Snape's story takes some complex turns, Ginny Weasley comes into her own as a character, and Dumbledore and Harry team up on a new project. Don't miss Back to Hogwarts, Part the 6th, located in the think tank.
Then, speaking of teaming up on a new project, our friends Brandon and Travis over at Apathetic Enthusiasm got tired of waiting for Season 3 of Rick and Morty, so they started up Interdimensional RSS, the official Rick and Morty podcast. Episodes 1 and 2 are available now at apatheticenthusiasm.com. To celebrate their debut, Brandon gave us a bonus top 10 list of his favorite episodes. Check out Geekade Top 10, Rick and Morty, and subscribe to Interdimensional RSS to get new episodes every 2 weeks. That seems like a show I should be watching.
Rick and Morty or their podcast?
Both.
Yes, so me too. Watch some Rick and Morty. It's good. If for some reason it's not catching me to make me scratch I need to watch more of it immediately. I don't know what it is, but it is. I agree that it is a show worthy of a podcast.
All right.
And Brandon and Travis are worthy of podcasting about it.
They certainly are.
Finally, speaking of top 10 lists, Jonathan Fugger and myself have played a lot of Mega Man games, and we have faced off against a lot of terrible robot masters. So, since last year we ranked the best, this year we decided to rank the worst in a versus top 10 list. How do the lists stack up against each other? How do we compare to our own least favorites? I don't know what that sentence means.
That's not how English works.
Little peek behind the curtain. This was not written to be read by me, but I'm an ass. How much do we hate our number one picks? Spoiler alert, a lot. We hate them a lot. Seriously, this whole thing, it's a paragraph about every single one of them until we get to our number ones, and then me and Jonathan both go on for pages.
Yeah,
on
it's quite a while.
Hatred, and I mean I hate my number one with every fiber of my being.
As
Find
well
out
you
the
should.
answers.
I disagreed with Jonathan's. Not gonna lie.
I disagree with his as well. It's a very personal thing for him because I've seen him. I was there during the Pain in the Ass-a-thon when he fought against this particular robot master and lost a lot. It was delightfully awful and painful, and we raised money for cancer.
There you go.
Research.
Which is also delightfully awful and painful, I imagine. Well, maybe not delightful. It's awful and painful.
Find out the answers to all these questions, plus a lot more than you ever needed to know, in Geekade Top 10 Worst Robot Masters. Dan, you should do this.
What's that?
I want you to do the tagline.
Oh,
Do
you can catch all this great stuff.
Yeah, I want you to do it. I want you to do it. Do your
Okay.
best me impression.
Well, I'm gonna have to fuck it up like 3 times and then cough.
Okay, let's do it together then. Let's do it together.
Okay.
Count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
You can catch all
this
this
great stuff, plus tons of other articles, videos, podcasts, and more right now at geekade.com.
Yeah, that'll go well. What?
And we're back. Boy, Dan is the man of the house.
That's right. Wear the pants in the family right here, baby.
So we got
sexy pants.
some news to talk about. Let's blow through this. Pokemon Duel came out of nowhere.
Yeah, that's a thing.
There's a whole new Pokemon mobile game, and it's out now.
It is. It's like that really shitty surprise at E3, and you can play it right now. Like, oh, fuck, I wasn't ready.
I wasn't planning on it, but since you say so,
I wasn't going
I know
to.
almost nothing about it. I didn't really look into it a whole lot. I was like, wow, there's a whole new what? See, now I saw Pokemon Duel, and I was like, oh, they finally added dueling to Pokemon Go.
That's
and
what I thought.
Watched a little bit of the trailer. I was like, oh, what? What in the world is this? Is this Pokemon Rumble again? What am I looking at here?
Is this Pokken Tournament Part 2? God damn it.
Pokken Tournament's awesome.
It's
There's
a weird
luchador Pikachu.
I know.
I'm so happy about it.
It's weird
Oh,
that this
God.
was just like released. Like, here you go.
Yeah, I don't think anybody knew they were even working on it. And they were just like,
No fanfare, no
There you
nothing.
go.
Just
New Pokemon game. Enjoy.
it's a new Pokemon game because we know you fuckers like that shit.
Does it cost money? Do you know?
I
Is
don't
this
know.
one free to play? Like,
Let's find out. I currently have an iPhone with me. I just don't know where I hid my app store.
this one is on iOS and Android.
Oh, son of a bitch! Is
Straight
Pokemon Go
up.
finally on Android?
Oh, that's been out on Android for a while.
How's it? Because
It's
it
Super
wasn't
Mario. It's Super Mario
Super Mario
Run.
Run. That is not.
Yeah, it's coming out in March. By the way, I just gotta
March?
say, yeah, in
Really?
March. Taking their effing time there.
Yeah, no, this is free. This is free, but like you have to buy like figures or some shit.
No, thank you.
Yeah, no, I'm out.
I do have to say, I still play Super Mario Run almost every day.
Really?
Yeah, almost every day since launch. I love it.
But there's
I
no new
love-
content, right? Like,
I just keep doing Toad rallies.
Yeah,
like they're
okay.
just fun. I like competing against people in Toad Rally. Just pick a random person and see how they ran through the level, and try to kick their asses. And I do most of the time. I finally got
it's not
myself over
surprising.
the 1,000 mark. It's so much fun to figure out the best way to roll through the levels, because like the weird little stunts and stuff that Mario does that's so different
Yeah.
from the way it plays in a regular Mario game. Like, you run up to a ledge and he'll, climb up it automatically, but if you jump as he's climbing up the ledge, you get like extra points, and those can lead up to a coin rush. It's freaking fun, man. I don't know why. I'm playing the same damn levels over and over again, and I don't care. It's fun. I love it.
534 days logging into Puzzle and Dragons as of this morning, sir. There is not 534 days worth of content in this game. I will tell you that much.
And yet,
I have held off on completing certain things in here, like certain challenges and whatnot. I haven't done because I'm now building up other teams. It's fucking fun. I love it. It is what it is.
yay mobile games.
Yay, mobile games.
Well, here's a story that surprises absolutely no one, but at least it is officially confirmed that Nintendo came out and said it. Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild will be their last game for the Wii U.
Yeah.
There's other games coming out for the system, a lot of download stuff. Some of it
Right.
looks cool. A lot of it's probably shovelware, but Breath of the Wild is the last Nintendo published game for the Wii U.
I will probably buy this game on Wii U.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it's not surprising.
Yeah, no, it's not surprising. I mean, we're gonna have to do a Wii eulogy episode one of these
a
days.
Wii eulogy. Nice. Well, excellent wordplay.
I wish I could say I came up with it myself. I read it on the internet somewhere. The internet is clever and made of cats.
It certainly is.
There was so much to love about that system and so very much to hate as well. It's such a strange console. Like, I'm just looking at this article that it was a Polygon article talking about it, and I see them highlighting Mario Kart and Splatoon. I'm like, yeah. And then like a few sentences later, Star Fox Zero, and I'm like, Star Fox Zero, you make me so mad. Another side thing, ever since like Splatoon 2 for Switch has actually really climbed up my list of games I really need to have, because my son's been really into like spraying things, like pretending he has a hose and going, psh, I sprayed you, psh. And so I thought, all right, well, what games can I show him that he's going to like? Splatoon and Mario Sunshine. So,
well, I don't know. There's that firefighter game, Firefighter FD18 or whatever. That's a PlayStation game.
Oh, jeez, I forgot about that. I should bust out Burning Rangers.
There you go, Burning Rangers. Fuck, man. God damn it. Any time to play Burning Rangers is a good excuse.
So I've been playing Splatoon with him, and I've been going back to finish that single-player mode.
Right.
It's really good. Like, you have that game, right?
Mm-hmm.
You should totally play through this single-player mode. Turn off the motion controls entirely, because that's what I did. Just zero motion controls, and just play through the single-player campaign. It is a freaking clever. It's really, really cool. And I like that, from what I've heard, they're taking some of those single-player elements and putting them into the multiplayer game for Splatoon 2, which is really cool. And I've been playing some online matches, and it's really fun. I don't know what I had it in my head that you needed to use motion controls for this game.
Right.
Like, I had it in my head that there was no way to turn them off completely, and I'm completely effing wrong about that. Like, I'm playing with motion controls off. It is kind of obnoxious that there's no voice chat. Like, if I wanted to play this with my friends, I think that was what really killed it for me in the first place.
Yeah,
but
it's a game
I'm playing
that
with
needed
strangers, so I don't really give a shit about voice chat. I don't want to talk to strangers. But I was just playing a bunch of like just simple Splatfest thing. Not Splatfest. What are they? The Turf Wars.
Yeah.
I was having a friggin' blast with it. I don't know why it didn't click with me as much the first time around, but I played it like a couple of days in a row, and it's really good. I'm actually really kind of stoked for Splatoon 2 to see where they take things from there. Very, very interesting. But anyway, sorry.
Breath of the Wild, last Nintendo game.
Last Nintendo game on Wii U.
I wonder
still looks
if
amazing.
Just something for us to think about when we do the Wii eulogy episode will be, will this be the system that Nintendo has published the least amount of games on? I mean, it kind of has to be, I would imagine, but.
Well, I mean, besides Virtual Boy, I don't know.
Well, I don't even know.
Percentage-wise, it's probably the most, like, in comparison to third parties. But
that's probably true. It'd be interesting to look at. But.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to do a little research on that. But yeah, so it's kind of, at least Wii U's going out with a really strong, like, last Nintendo game. You know?
Well, we hope so. It could be shit.
I can't imagine it being shit.
It probably won't
can't.
be, but it very well could be. Wouldn't that just be the case? Like,
I think that's I think the thing about
Zelda
this,
did
like,
come out, but ugh,
so many
God.
people have played so much of it and have just been like, the people who have played it at every event have been like, this game fucking delivers. Like, it is really good. So I think there's
really has to. So
it really does.
There's kind of a lot riding on this.
This next story I thought was really interesting because we've talked about this on the show before. Me and Dan don't really keep up to date with Xbox One. It's just not our thing. And when I saw this headline, I had to click on it and look into it. And it's shockingly enough true. The Switch has more exclusives coming to it than Xbox One in 2017.
To be fair, The Xbox One does have the Voodoo Vince remaster coming to it. So
it does. So
and don't
I looked
fucking
at the
shit on
actual
Voodoo Vince. Voodoo Vince was dope as fuck. I love
Voodoo
that
Vince
game.
was awesome. So I looked at the comparison chart because I was like, okay, well, this is probably a bunch of like online stuff that's not really all that interesting. And then I looked at it and like, actually, that's kind of true for both of those.
Yeah.
Like both of these systems, a lot of their exclusives are just like as far as big name exclusives. There's a few things on this guy's list. This is coming from Finder.com, I guess. I found the thread on Reddit, and
Right.
like there's a few things that have changed since he made this list. Like he still has Dragon Quest Heroes 2 listed as a PS4 exclusive. That's coming to Switch. But I mean, like even if you take away a couple of the small things, like he also lists Pikmin 4 and Pokemon Stars. Like neither of those games have been. Well, Pikmin 4 has been announced, but and
Right,
it
but
stands to
not-
reason it's coming to Switch, but it hasn't been like revealed or anything like that. In Pokemon
Right.
Stars, we know that the Pokemon Company is making something for Switch, but we have no idea that if that's what it is.
Right.
But even if you take that stuff away, there's still considerably more stuff coming to Switch that's exclusive than Xbox One. And I find that
is-
astonishing.
That is kind of fascinating. I wonder if it's because Xbox has got burned on exclusives or things like with Scalebound or that's what it was called.
Yeah,
right?
Scalebound.
Scalebound being canceled.
Phantom Dust disappeared off the list.
Yeah, and that was such a huge part of their E3 press conference a few years ago. Of like
Yeah,
Phantom
particularly
Dust,
Scalebound,
man.
and just gone. From what I've gotten, this article says that a lot of it's from third parties are kind of jumping off a little bit because PlayStation 4 just has such an astronomical lead over the Xbox One. Like
It really does. It's just not even close anymore.
considerable. And I mean, like when we're looking at this list of exclusives, it's kind of hilarious because, like, yeah, the Switch has got more than the Xbox One, but it's like, what's the numbers on this thing? It's the Switch has, I don't know, let's say the Switch has 20, and the Xbox One has like 12, and the PlayStation 4 has like 90. It's
Yeah.
not even close. And of course, this is just exclusives. Like there's more
Right.
games coming out on Xbox One, but they're multi-platform things. And at that,
Here, I'm looking at the numbers right now. The Nintendo Switch will have 31 known exclusives. The Xbox One will have 16, and the PlayStation 4 will have 90.
90, good gravy. But
Yeah.
now let's compare quality here. And this was kind of what I was looking at. Like, all right, well, numbers could lie. So Xbox One's got Ashen, which is an indie title. Below, indie title. Bramble Ash, indie title. Conan Exiles.
No
I didn't
idea.
even know that was a thing. It's like based on Conan the Barbarian. It looks kind of Xbox 360-ish. Crackdown 3, that's a big one.
That's a big one.
So that's one big one. Cuphead, that's an indie title, but I'm calling it a big one because that game looks amazing.
It's a big one for us.
It is.
It's
I
something
hope
that
it's-
we're very upset that we can't play.
Yeah. Gigantic, I don't know anything about. Halo Wars 2, we talked about this before. I couldn't care less
Sure.
about it, but it is a big game. Natsuki Chronicle, Pit People, Rise and Shine, Sea of Thieves, that's the new Rare game, so that's 4.
Yep.
Space Engineers, State of Decay 2,
That's
Tacoma.
a big one. State of Decay 2 is
Okay.
big. State of Decay was a really big like zombie survival thing. I believe it was PC and I believe Xbox One, could have been 360. But a pretty big deal. So State of Decay 2 is big.
Okay. And then Tacoma and Voodoo Vince Remaster. So there's 5 big games on there.
Right.
That are like big pushed games, console releases. So let's now look at the Switch release. 1-2 Switch. I don't care how much Nintendo talks about it. It's not a big game.
No,
not in my
it's not.
world. So I'm not counting that one at all. ARMS, they're putting a big push behind that. So that's 1.
Yep.
BitBoy Arcade is, it's cool, but it's small. Dungeon of Czar is, a small thing. Fast RMX, I don't know. I don't know. It's an indie
don't
title,
know.
I think, but I'm not going to count it. Fire Emblem Warriors is big. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, I almost don't want to count just because it's a remake, but
it's big.
it's big. It's freaking Mario Kart, so
Yeah.
there's 3. New Frontier Days, Founding Pioneers looks interesting. I hadn't heard of it until this report, but okay, but it's small. Nicky Rockin' Ball small. Whatever Suda's project is, that's going to be big.
Yeah.
I won't count Pikmin 4 or Pokemon Stars because I don't think either of them exist in reality. Project Octopath, I'd like to. That's a real question mark as to whether or not it'll be big because
it's Squeenix.
It's Squeenix, and it's the team that brought us Bravely Default, which was surprisingly big.
Yeah, that's a big game.
Oh yeah, all right. I'll throw that on there. I'll throw that on the list of big games. Puzzle box setup, okay. Riverside, okay. Seasons of Heaven, Snipper Clips. All that. I've heard great things about Snipper Clips. It doesn't look like much to me, but I mean, it's one of those things. I guess I'll try. But no matter what, it's not a big game.
Right.
Splatoon 2, big game.
Yep.
Asunu Ibuku Din Nahu. Okay. Super Bomberman R. They want it to be a big game. I'm excited for it, but it's not. It looks like a budget title.
Yeah.
Mario Odyssey, Breath of the Wild, Tank It. I don't know what that is. Sacred Hero, Ultra Street Fighter 2. I wish I could say it was huge, but it's not. Blaze Blue, Shin Megami Tensei, Steam World, Techo Drum Master, Tales, Xenoblade Chronicles 2. So that's 8 big games to Xbox One's 5. Wow.
You want to take a look at the PS4 list?
We don't have all night, Dan.
Because I'll take your 8 games and then just say new God of War, and we'll just kind of keep it there.
I have a sealed copy of God of War 3.
Oh, God, that's such a crime. It's so fucking good. Oh, my God, God of War
It's like I'm
3.
looking at this list of PlayStation exclusives, like, I'm so glad I don't have a PlayStation 4 because this would just make me sad every day. And just be like, I gotta get this. Well, I gotta get this game, and I gotta get this one.
Days Gone, Death Stranding, fucking this Dreams game that is made by Media Molecule, the guys who made
No
Big
way.
Planet.
No, keep that away from me.
Oh, my God, that looks so...
No.
Final Fantasy VII Remake, the Full Throttle Remaster.
FF7 Remake, I don't think that's exclusive.
It is for
It hasn't
a while.
been announced for anything else, but it's like, I don't know, that's one of those things that's kind of sitting in this weird...
Yeah.
I don't know what the deal is with that game. They've been very vague on it.
God of War, Horizon Zero Dawn, fucking
Knack 2.
MLB The Show, a new Hot Shots Golf, Nino Kuni 2, a fucking sequel
Nino
to
Kuni
Nino
2.
Kuni.
That makes me nervous.
Parappa the Rapper Remastered, that new fucking Spider-Man game.
That Spider-Man game looks legit.
The Last of Us Part 2, Uncharted The Lost Legacy, fucking Windjammers. Wind fucking Jammers. I am so
I know almost nothing about this game.
Excited for that game.
I know almost nothing about
Holy
Windjammers.
shit. I am so over the moon excited that Windjammers, like, I can't fucking wait. I can't wait.
What is it?
It's fucking volleyball. It's dumb. It's fucking
What?
stupid. Windjammers, because this will lead us right into whatchamacallit, right into the next little bit of news here to close this out. Windjammers was a Neo Geo arcade game that was it's a volleyball game. Like it's like a but like it's not really volleyball. Like it's like a frisbee. Almost. Like it's really weird. It's like if you could somehow play like air hockey, right? Mm-hmm. In real life, on a volleyball court with sand. It's so fucking nuts. It's so nuts.
Well, I mean, you know what? Friggin' Rocket League took off.
Oh God! But like this was out in like
teasing Rocket League on Switch. I want it to be real. I want it to happen. I want Rocket League on Switch.
It would be a good spot for
It
Rocket League.
it would fit perfectly on that console. It would be great.
But like Windjammers came out in the arcades in like 1994, and like our arcade in Deptford had it, and like I played it and nobody else liked it. It's like, no, this game's fucking dope. You gotta love it. Like it's got like, and they have weird special moves and like, it's fucking weird. It's just a weird ass game.
So that is one of the player's choice options for the final spot in Evo 2017.
I really hope it gets voted in.
I don't know, man. There's the stuff. Sorry, let's talk about the games that are going to be there. The games that are definitely going to be competed in Evo. I'm happy with a chunk of these. Tekken 7 makes sense. New game.
Yeah, brand new Tekken game. You have to have it.
Street Fighter 5.
Sure.
I still vastly prefer Street Fighter 4 to 5, but it's still interesting to watch. So
Yeah.
it makes sense. Smash Brothers for Wii U, again,
Of course.
sure. I love watching competitive Smash. I love Smash Wii U. I think it's great. I do want to hear about a port of this to Switch. Like, I want that to be a thing. It's gotta be. I'm surprised they haven't announced it yet. Guilty Gear.
I love Guilty Gear. It's great.
I don't even know what letters and numbers are after this. Doesn't matter. It's Guilty
Doesn't
Gear.
matter.
Guilty Gear's awesome. King of
I think
Fighters.
it's X2.
Way to go. King of Fighters. Was that 14?
Yeah, King of Fighters
Huzzah.
14.
Injustice
Fuck
2, couldn't care less. Blaze Blue, again, not for me. Melee, Melee. I know this is probably blasphemous. Like, I love Melee, but I don't get any enjoyment out of watching Melee.
Yeah.
I don't. It's always like the same three characters, and it's amazing to me that people are still learning new things with this game. Like, it's fascinating on one hand, but I feel like it is completely outclassed by Smash Wii U, and people will just never give up Melee, man. They just will never give it up, and I mean, I guess you gotta respect them for that. And then the mystery game, the last one, the games we have to choose from to vote on the player's choice is Mortal Kombat XL, which...
Boo.
Yeah.
I mean, people like it, but boo.
Yeah. Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, that is the most boring game to watch in Evo, because it's
not fun.
Some dude does a combo for 15 minutes, then some other dude does a combo or whatever. Skullgirls, okay.
Skullgirls is fun.
Yeah, that's
I like
neat.
that game.
Pokken Tournament?
Sure.
Yay.
No.
I can't believe this is a thing. Killer Instinct.
No.
You know what? I don't like playing it, but it is pretty fun to watch. Like, I watched some of KI at last year's Evo, and it's pretty fun to watch. Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, that makes me really happy.
Cool. Yeah.
I love watching Evo players play Street Fighter 2, and I love watching pros play that game. So I would love to see that. ARMS gets my vote for purely selfish reasons, because
Absolutely.
I want to see what real players do with it. I want to see what people, because I know they're not going to bring it to Evo with this motion controls. So I want to see some pro fighting game players with a couple of arcade sticks play ARMS. I want to see what that game's made of, and this would be a great place to put it through its paces.
Yeah.
Obviously, Windjammers.
Fuck yeah, Windjammers.
And what is Nidhogg?
Nidhogg is
Nidhogg?
is a PlayStation exclusive fencing game. It's interesting.
Okay.
I don't know that watching it competitively would be very fun. I don't know. It's an interesting game. I think it's very cool. Like, I like this list. I like this player vote.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
That they have.
There's nothing on here.
It's pretty diverse.
There's nothing missing from here. There's like maybe Street Fighter 4, but they have Street Fighter 5, and having both of those would be pretty odd.
Right, it would be somewhat redundant, but I think you're going to see the vote come from those last three, from ARMS, Windjammers, or Nidhogg. I personally, I would like to see Windjammers just because it's so silly and weird. I think ARMS will probably get the vote.
I don't know, man.
And
I think Pokken
you're
Tournament's
right.
going to get the vote.
I don't know. I think ARMS could be really cool to see. You know,
that would be such a great way to find out if that game really
is worth it.
Is worth it, and I think it being on this list, like I don't know how they came up with these choices. If like Nintendo paid to have that in there or what. Like I don't know what the criteria was to get here, but the
Right.
fact that it's even on this list makes me somewhat more hopeful for it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm already pretty hopeful for it. I think the game looks really interesting, but I really want to see some pro players put it through its paces.
I agree.
Neat.
I think that'll get it.
I guess we'll find out. All right, let's see. Boy, this next one I don't even want to talk about, but
I know, but we have to.
We gotta
And it's
bring it
the
up.
last one.
no, there's more on the second page.
Oh, is there? Oh, well,
Let's-
it's after 10, Chris.
It's after 10, so we'll blow. Let me blow through the other ones real quick. Fire Emblem Nintendo Direct happened. They announced like a handful of Fire Emblem games. The mobile one is going to be free to play, so I'm sure that made Nintendo's shareholders really happy. And there's also, this was the first piece of information that made me genuinely hopeful for the Switch's future, because they announced the next mainline Fire Emblem game is on Switch, not on 3DS. It's on Switch. So, hooray for that. Someone made a parody of Mike Tyson's Punch-Out with Conor McGregor fighting Floyd Mayweather. I don't know
I
boxing.
love that exists. Conor McGregor is not a boxer; he's an MMA fighter. But he's getting
that makes it a lot funnier.
he is getting his boxing license, and there have been these rumors going around that like this is a big super boxing match, like a big super fight. Because Conor McGregor is a fucking ridiculously good boxer in the world of MMA. Like this guy was the first ever person to hold a championship in 2 different weight divisions. And like Conor McGregor is fucking serious. This dude is a badass and is a legit fighter. And Floyd Mayweather, if you look at his record, you would think that this dude is a legit badass because he's held all the belts and whatnot. But Floyd Mayweather's fights are really boring and really hard to watch because the dude just wins on points. You know, like he's not a knockout guy. He's not a very... I've never enjoyed watching a Mayweather fight. I fucking love watching Conor McGregor fights. That dude is trying to knock motherfuckers out every time he steps in the cage. So if they were ever to fight, it would be really interesting. But the fact that somebody made a Mike Tyson's Punch-Out parody of it is so great. It's so great. Did they get all of McGregor's tattoos?
Looked like it.
dude
Yeah, he
is-
was very
Dude
tattooed
is
in there.
tatted the fuck up. He's great. And he's so Irish. Like, he's so Irish. It's ridiculous.
Let's
awesome.
see. Fan-made Metroid prequel, Rogue Dawn, released on the NES. This is neat. Have you seen this thing in action?
I haven't had a chance to check it out.
It's pretty cool. I mean, it's running on Metroid, like the original engine, but
Right.
we would be hard pressed to tell because it looks like every single asset is redrawn. It looks really neat. I don't love the art direction, but I really, really appreciate what this person did or these people did. I don't know if it was
Right.
a team or one dude, but it's an NES Metroid hack, and it is awesome. It's really, really awesome. So that's cool. And Matt Much sent us a link to Classic FM to host weekly show on orchestral video game music. So hooray for that. That's all going to be on our show notes.
That's
So, yeah.
fine. All right, last one.
I have to preface this by saying that I don't want to get too much into the actual politics of this. I don't want to get too much of our personal feelings into this because I don't know a lot about our audience. I don't know what kinds of people listen to the show, with the exception of a handful who've contacted us.
Right.
To say that Dan and myself are not Donald Trump fans would be a ridiculous understatement.
It would be a gross understatement.
It would be a grievous understatement. I grew
However-
up in South Jersey.
Yeah.
And I have seen firsthand what his business prowess is, and I am not impressed. But we don't want to get
Right.
too political here. It's just we're going to try to talk about this as best we can without.
Well, but this story takes the politics out of it because this is something that will possibly dramatically impact a hobby that we very much love.
Yes, it certainly could. So, video game industry prepares for coming of possible trade tariff. Polygon reported this today. I think Kotaku also did a report on it. Donald Trump is rolling out trade tariffs, and one of them could affect stuff coming from Japan, including Sony and Nintendo video game systems.
Right.
And video games.
What the tariff is that it raises the import tax on goods made outside of the United States to encourage consumers, theoretically, to purchase American-made goods. The problem with tariffs at this point in our life cycle, as American consumers, is that none of the shit we buy is made in this country.
Like, there's not even an option. Like, Nintendo's not making stuff in America.
Right.
They are a Japanese company. They make stuff in Japan, and it would be silly to expect them to make things in America.
The Xbox One is not made in America.
Also true.
Right? The Xbox One, all three major consoles are going to be manufactured in China. So a 5 to 10% increase, which is what the story reports, it's not like video game companies are going to go, "Oh, that Trump, we're going to eat that extra cost and pass the savings on to our customers." Like, stuff is good. If stuff legitimately gets more expensive, I mean, we have a relatively expensive hobby as it is now. And it'll be interesting to see how that affects digital versus physical releases of things and whatnot. But with Nintendo planning to launch a brand new console at $300, well, it might not be $300 anymore.
Yeah.
Because what you're going to have to pay to get it will be increased, and that will go into the price of the games and the controllers and memory and like everything. So there's some possible dramatic financial costs to the industry and to players.
Yep.
Coming very soon. And that's not good for Nintendo.
And that's not good for anybody.
Well, I mean, it's bad for us, but it's not necessarily a big thing for Sony and Microsoft right now, because their console base, I mean, like Sony could not sell another PlayStation 4 and they'd be fine.
Well, true, but I mean, on a larger scale, I don't just mean the other game manufacturers. I mean, like, there's a pretty decent chance that Japan's they could just not take this well and start doing the same thing to America, put tariffs on American goods.
Well, and that's most likely what will happen.
And that's just going to make everybody pissed off. So
right, which will then get into this back and forth pissing match. It's not good for us. It's really not. And I am very proud to like buy American shit when I can. I'm very happy. Like, one of my favorite hobbies is the craft beer industry, and buying craft beer, that is a mostly American thing. Like, I don't buy a lot of imported beer because I really do feel like the American craft beer product is better than most of what I could get. Every now and again, like, I want to get a Belgian triple, so like, I go and buy a Belgian beer, but there are some good American versions of it. But for the most part, when I buy beer, and I buy a lot of beer, it's American stuff. Like, that is a very pure American industry right now. But like, video games are not. They never have been.
Well,
like,
I mean,
if we're
the Atari
really,
era, but they not since then. I mean, after Atari,
I mean, for the bulk of people listening to this show, I would hazard a guess, and for us too. Like, you had an Atari, but you're a Nintendo guy. You're not an Atari guy. Like, you're
I mean,
a Nintendo
before
guy.
Nintendo existed, I wasn't a Nintendo guy. But once NES came along, that was it for me.
Yeah. So it's going to be a really interesting thing to see because, like, you know, we've already talked about the possibility of Switch games costing more than $60, and if this kind of things happen, you know, like this is the sort of thing where seemingly without their control could fucking kill this system in America.
It's
And that's
entirely
bad.
possible because the stuff's already expensive. And
Right. It's not like, you know, and like I said, they said it was going to be $300. Like, I can't imagine if this tariff goes through and it's like, well, this would actually be $340 or whatever, you know, the cost may be. You know, it's not like Nintendo is going to go, well, that's a $40 loss for us on every one we sell. Like, you're not going to fucking do that.
No.
You can't. So it's a really interesting. I don't want politics to fuck up my video games. You know, what
Seriously,
I mean?
this is my escape from all of this stuff. This is what I
Right.
do so that I don't have to concentrate on the horrible shitstorm that is the rest of the universe right now. But I still have my games, and if this starts to really affect, you know, my gaming, I'll just go exclusively retro games. I'll just go through. I'll hook a Super Nintendo up and call it a day.
I might finish Rogue Galaxy. You know, at some point, man. Shit.
Yeah.
Like, it's gonna be very interesting to see what effect, if any. I mean, and this all might not happen.
It's
You know,
true.
this is
Yeah.
all theoretical stuff at this point. But if the first couple of days have been any indication, this is the sort of thing that, you know, you often hear a pig-headed, buy America kind of shit. But like, it's not that easy. It's
Yeah,
just
it's really
not that
not.
simple. Like, your TV, most of you, all of you, your TV that is in your house right now wasn't fucking made in this country. The device that you are currently listening to this podcast on wasn't made in this country because it's just not
I drive a
reality,
Honda Odyssey.
right? I drive a Mazda. Like, it's just not reality. You know what I mean? And even if you're driving a Chevy or a Dodge, well, chances are that wasn't made with parts entirely in this country either. And the device you're listening to it on, your iPhone or your Android device, wasn't fucking made here either. So like, this is shit you need to care about. Like, this is stuff you need to pay attention to. So it's going to be an interesting little ride here to see if stuff like this goes through and what effect it has, you know, on us and on this industry, who should seem to be free of this kind of thing, but it's not. The reality is that it affects everybody.
It does. This affects
God
everybody.
damn it.
Yeah. That is my sentiment exactly.
God damn it. Should have
God damn
voted
it.
for Jill Stein.
Well, that's our show, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah,
Join
it got
us.
dark there at the end.
Yeah, it did.
I
Join
think
us.
that stayed fairly, like, even keel for how fucking truly angry I really am.
Yeah. Blindingly so.
Right.
Okay. Join us next week when we don't know what we're doing yet because we haven't decided.
No, it'd be a surprise.
It's
to
gonna
us,
be
too.
like we actually, when we recorded the last one, the switching, we already knew we were doing this next week. I just forgot. That was quite a weekend. Once again, you can get in touch with us at mail@geekade.com, as well as all flavors of social media that we inhabit. You can like us on Facebook, find us on Instagram at Geekade, subscribe to our YouTube and Twitch channels for all our latest video content, and follow us on Twitter at _Geekade. You can also find us individually on Twitter. I am at Geekade Kris, that's Geekade Kris, and Dan is at...
I am at Geekade Dan, where you will see a picture of Bernie Sanders drinking a heady topper.
If you're
yeah.
interested in more information about anything we discussed tonight, be sure to check out our show notes. And while you're at it, you can also subscribe to this and any other of our wonderful podcasts on iTunes or Stitcher. Or if you're super nice, you can leave us a review because any and all feedback is welcome and appreciated. We'd also like to thank our intrepid editor, Evan, for making the show listenable for all you folks. We'd also like to thank Mark TDK Knight for our show's theme. You can check him out on SoundCloud and Bandcamp, or his website, which we have a link to in the show notes. Again, always remember to keep your eyes on Geekade.com, where we post something new every single day. Thank you for listening. On behalf of myself, Dan, keep playing games.